Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello,
Good
good
evening.
evening. Hello.
Thank you so much for this session, ma'am. Thank you. I'm Ranjita.
Hi.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Mr.
Myself,
Shamlal?
yes, ma'am. Doing great. So regularly following up all your posts. So
Yeah,
continuous learning.
yeah. Thank you.
There has been a break from IB, but still I used to follow up all these posts. So there is actually, I doesn't feel like there is a seat change. So in
Uh,
between, I was there in Cambridge for 1 year.
okay.
So again, back to IB, full power.
All right. So I have kept the waiting room open so that anybody who has the link can enter in. Okay. And we are recording this session. So today our topic of discussion is about the IB programs. Okay. So we'll be talking about the continuum program. We will start with PYP. What is PYP and the different aspects or elements of the PYP, primary years program. This will be taken by Miss Archana. She will share her presentation with all of us. Then it will be followed by Miss Anuja. She will take over the middle years program. She'll explain you all about what the middle years program is. And then followed by Mr. Vishal Ganguly. He will talk about the diploma program. And then I will end the session with the career related program, which is the newest program in India. There it has been in place since 12 years. This is the 12th year, but it is quite new to the Indian context. Okay, so I will end with the CP program, talking about what the framework is. So we go ahead. Miss Archana, you can take over.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
The presenters, please introduce yourself. Okay,
Sure.
and then you may start off with the presentation. Yeah.
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. I'm the PYP coordinator from past 3 years.
Middle years
Working
program. Objectives are aligned with
PYP International School. And I'll just share my screen to start about PYP. So primary years program, PYP full form stands for primary years program, and this program is basically for the age group of 3 to 12 years. So at a glance, when you look at PYP looks this way. Okay, so here we have basically transdisciplinary themes. You can see here who we are, where we are in place and time, how we express ourselves, how the world works, how we organize ourselves, and sharing the planet. These are the 6 transdisciplinary themes of PYP, where all the knowledge, the content, and the skill, everything is imparted through these 6 transdisciplinary themes. So how do we work is under these 6 themes, we have each theme has a central idea. Then the central idea is further divided into lines of inquiry. These lines of inquiry and central idea helps basically students to understand the key concepts. Here are the key concepts of IB, that is form, function, causation, change, connection, perspective, and responsibility. These are the key concepts, and these key concepts are basically abstract, universal, and timeless. Okay, so IB program, PYP program is about inquiry-based learning. Okay, where we help the students to basically do inquiry-based learning, get the knowledge, develop the skills, imbibe the learner profile, and enjoy the agency. So here are the basically approaches to teaching how basically this IB PYP functions. First, it is inquiry-based learning. Second, it is transdisciplinary. By transdisciplinary, we mean there is no compartmentalized subject teaching happening. So all the subjects basically come together to teach a particular knowledge, to impart particular knowledge under the themes given over here by IB. It also believes in local to global connection and differentiated learning style. So we look at PYP level to build skills, to do differentiation, where each and every child is counted in the classroom. So here you can see the learner, the learning and teaching, and the learning community. By learning community, we mean that the entire all the stakeholders in PYP, the parents, they are well informed about what's happening, why it is happening. They also collaborate in the teaching and learning process. Then the teachers also collaborate with each other. The learners as well collaborate with each other. So whoever is engaged with the teaching and learning, they all come together to help in the teaching and learning process. So this is how PYP looks like, and it all believes to develop these action, that is participation, advocacy, social justice, social entrepreneurship, and lifestyle choices. These are the learning outcomes, I could call it in short. If learning is happening in the PYP classroom, then you will be able to see the action in students. Going ahead, this is how basically what I was talking about, the themes look like. So each grade, these themes are imparting different concepts, which are universal, again, timeless, and it's content driven as well. But everything happens with an inquiry-based learning. So here, the child has the freedom to choose in a particular unit of inquiry the way he or she wants to go ahead in the learning pathway. So this alignment in every PYP school, basically it is done horizontally and vertically. Vertically, all the 6 themes, and horizontally, grade-wise, depending upon the conceptual understanding of the students, the units are being designed. You will see from EYP, that is from a nurse playgroup to senior KG, only 4 themes will be there. Later on, as their understanding develops, we have 6 themes from 1 to 5. Going ahead with this, inquiry-based framework looks this way, where you can see I was talking about different 6 themes. These are the knowledge component, that means all the subject areas. Exhibition is the goal, which grade 5, that is the culmination and celebration of PYP learning happens over here. Approaches to teaching, approaches to learning, the concepts and the learner profile. So exhibition and the action component, exhibition goes hand in hand. Every class, the child, depending upon their own cognitive development, takes action. That also depends upon the unit of inquiry, what they are learning. The unit of inquiry, again, it is inquiry based. At our school, basically, we follow this Kathmandu inquiry cycle. There are other inquiry cycles as well. And all the inquiry cycle talks about testing the prior understanding, then moving ahead, generating questions, giving the freedom to students to inquire about, and then at the end, taking action. Because taking action shows basically what exactly the teaching and learning happen. We also focus on reflection, self-reflection, peer reflection, and that should be timely. Next, we go ahead. Agency. Now, the themes and the titles which I have shown over here, they are aligned by most of the schools with the SDG goals. Okay, most of the school align the teaching and learning, the goal which they pick up for their own respective school. This also enables local to global contests, also international mindedness. And this gives scope for the students to take realistic, real-life action. Now, IB Speak PYP also focuses on agency, that is voice, choice, and ownership. So the students have the voice to choose and to take the ownership in the learning pathway. Basically, they can decide if suppose the unit is all about ecosystem. So the student has the voice to decide whether he wants to do a presentation, he wants to do an article writing, the way he wants to present his understanding. He has a choice what exactly he wants to research about under the subtopics, and he takes the ownership by reflecting and deciding upon his learning pathway. So this all is again focusing on differentiation, facilitating timeless transformation of teaching and learning happening in PYP. So if we look at, these are the things as a whole PYP focuses at, that is collaboration. This is very much important when you are teaching and learning in PYP, differentiated learning, transdisciplinary learning, to teach a particular concept, all the other subject areas, whether be maths, sciences, all the subject areas, depending upon what the topic is, they come together to teach a particular concept to the students. That's why it's known as concept-driven. International mindedness, as I said, through learner profile, skills, we try to make students internationally minded. We also look at local to global context, and inquiry-based learning is a focus, which at the end leads to taking action. So this is all about PYP from my end.
So thank you, Archana. If there are any questions regarding the PYP program, we keep it at the end after I finish my presentation on CP. Okay. So now we go ahead with this presentation with Ms. Ahuja talking about the middle years program or the MYP. Mrs. Anuja.
Give me a second, I'll just share.
Yeah.
Oops. Is it sharing the presentation?
Yeah.
Just ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let me put it on a slideshow. Yeah, so this is an introductory session. I'm assuming that either the teachers are freshers here or there are some who are wanting to do a refresher course here of brushing their knowledge. Because for me, even with all the experience that I'm gaining, I still learn every time a year. Every year there's something new that I keep learning about different curriculums, MYP, DP, likewise, which is what I teach. So I'm the CAS coordinator at my school, and I teach MYP Integrated Sciences along with DP Chemistry. I'm teaching in a school, in International School of Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. And that's where I speak from while the weather outside is close to -25. But you see the picture there is quite different from the pictures that I have here. And that's pretty much what MYP is. It is a curriculum which actually allows you to develop as a person, which is much beyond that two-dimensional picture, which really didn't tell you much about the learner that I am, because MYP talks about lifelong learning, and that's what I have become eventually. I model what I teach to my students. And here you can see there's a whole bunch of things I'm doing. I've gone close to Siberian landscape, and I'm having an interaction out there with a reindeer. I enjoy dabbling in painting. I love immersive art. I love to be in the garden. So there's a whole bunch and besides, of course, I am mother of two quite old kids who have grown up to be young ladies now. So that's whole me. And this is what MYP is technically. In fact, IB program technically is all about. It is about developing the identity of a learner. And the way it progresses is what brings about giving the opportunities to these learners so that they can develop not only to be knowledgeable, but what we talk about in IB parlance, the learner profile, where we talk about people being knowledgeable, inquirers, risk takers, balanced, and whole criteria of things which really, really helps. But enough about that. I will be leading you through a number of things which outline the MYP curriculum, which is the middle years program, looking into introducing to the curriculum, looking into what exactly briefly is the curriculum all about, what are the core pillars of MYP, as well as certain assessment areas that we should be looking at, and ending with maybe your questions and what next maybe could be your plan of action where you choose to go with it. So what is MYP? I would like you to show this video, which is there pretty much on the IBO website, but I love this and I hope it plays and I hope you can see this. Just a second. And as you're watching this video, can I ask you to put in chat what you see happening here what you wonder about, and what you think about, because these are technically the classrooms where such interactions are happening. So here, going on to it.
Anuja, the sound is not working. When you
Oh, sorry,
share,
just a
you will
second.
have to, when you share again, you will have to click. There's this
Okay, so
sound
shall
button
I?
down. Yeah.
I need to go back.
Stop
I'll stop
sharing.
sharing.
When you share, then before you click share, there is a small dot below share sound.
Wait, why don't I see it? I've gone on to share. Ah, share sound here. Got it. Sorry about that. So here we go. And I really want you to put your thoughts in the chat box as we are watching this video. I really like it.
My first impressions of the MYP were, wow, this isn't a traditional setting. This is a creative framework that allows students to engage with one another, engage with the teacher.
MYP, it allows the teacher to be more of a facilitator, and that I like. I like being able to go around, seeing the kids work together, helping themselves, helping each other.
Really focuses on the person as an individual thinker, an individual learner, and somebody that is creating their own pathway. I love being able to nurture their individual strengths, and that's what the MYP does. I don't want the students to just think that science is science and art is art, and that's something that the MYP really nurtures. It nurtures that cross-collaboration.
So one of the main ideas for MYP is we emphasize the holistic learning. So we're not looking to how long the essay they can produce, but we're actually assessing their understanding and analyzing skills.
The way we learn is different because we understand what we're learning, we don't memorize it.
Porque se focaliza mucho en el proceso. Lo importante es el proceso de creación, el proceso de construcción, el proceso de adquisición de conocimiento. Además, se les hace siempre al final de los proyectos una reflexión.
Our students are exposed to different parts of the world. Our students are then more globally aware and more prepared for the real world.
The internationalism, the capacity to understand others, to put yourself in others' shoes and see different perspectives, something which is so crucial.
And the knowledge that we are hopefully not only giving them the academic skills that they need, but really the life skills to be able to build on, to be able to take with them.
En gros, à l'école, on apprend à travailler en groupe, à organiser, et du coup ça nous aidera pour notre futur. On pourra travailler avec des personnes qu'on n'aime pas forcément, mais ensuite on pourra faire des grandes choses et améliorer le monde.
And then we have the assessments that are used around the world that really put the stamp on the rigorous instruction.
They're going out with a sensitivity as to their role in the world.
And the MYP provided them with some of the most valuable tools.
So yeah, so you just observed lots of different contexts or subjects under which MYP happens right from grade 1 to 5. I really want you to put your thoughts in interaction. You're seeing collaboration, excellent. Focused on application-based learning, experiential learning, self-efficacy and taking agency and responsibility for learning, allowing children to learn the way they want to learn, facilitating, sharing, peer learning, multilingualism. There's a case for differentiation right there. Bond between learners, there's a lot of collaboration happening, right? So you really got it. This is in a nutshell what MYP is all about. In fact, it's taking on from the PYP, the baton, and passing it on. And I am going back to my slides right there. So thank you for your contribution right there. You're so clued in. I'm really happy to see that. And as I said, I didn't say that, but I like to begin with the focus, what IB aims actually to do, to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. Pretty much what you saw happening in that video. And this is what, in a nutshell, IB is all about. Quite far removed from when I was in school, which was rather content based. Here we are looking at holistic learning. We are looking at the ways by which we can do what IB mission statement states for us. Carrying on. So why MYP? The top 10 reasons that come into mind as I'm looking through your answers on the chat box. You're learning by doing and experiencing, experiential learning. Children are learning to become critical thinkers, problem solvers, explore global challenges as we had in PYP. You're looking through sustainable development goals with that lens in place. It empowers you to develop your talents. It gives you the agency to do that. Subjects are not taught in isolation. They are interdisciplinary. You can actually create units in which you can meld your expertise with 2 or 3 other disciplines to create something which is so transferable, so realistic, and so relevant. Learn for understanding. Train yourself to organize and plan your work. Encourage international mindedness and preparing, most importantly, for future the 21st century learning. That's where we are moving towards. We're preparing our learners to be prepared no matter what or how the educational paradigm changes. So, looking a little deeply into the curriculum, how is MYP structured and what makes MYP unique program that it is? There are 8 subject groups: language and literature, language acquisition, individual society, which takes the humanities part of it, sciences, which can be taught in pure science view point, as well as integrated science. That's the way I teach. And I love that because I can keep shifting between biology and chemistry when the need arises, and between chemistry and physics very easily, and bring in those lenses into my lessons. Mathematics, again, catering to the level of students. Arts, going into visual or performing arts, physical and health education, where I do find myself looking into actually collaborating a lot with these people who are teaching these particular units. What I really enjoy about this program is the flexibility it gives me as a teacher to change this lens as I'm developing the curriculum. And you won't believe me when I say that there's not been one year when I have taught the same old unit plan that I laid out. The more I learn, the more I bring my learning to this program. And that's the beauty of it, that it gives me a whole agency to create and bring the program and meld it in such a way that it becomes relevant to the learners. The year level that MYP program covers is all the way from MYP 1 to 5, which is grade 6 to 10 right across. So what are the best practices in MYP? So if I were to think about thumb rules, I would look at focuses on inquiry. And we had quite a good idea about how inquiry-led programs are run. You have to proceed with your own questioning skills. And that's, again, a skill that all students need to learn, quite often relying on the project, which gives a kind of a context or an umbrella to the student to learn very well. And in the process, focusing on skills that they need to develop as learners, not only in being able to handle since I'm a science teacher, so I'm thinking from science skills, not only mathematical tools or lab skills, but also those skills that they need to be able to manage their time, to be critical thinkers, to be able to research and find facts, real facts, and not factivism, what do you call it, the fake factivism, which has actually taken over quite exponentially in the recent years. at the end of each unit, we are proceeding by assessing the student. What have they learned through all of this? But it would be quite implicit to state here, important to state here, this is all done with the content in mind, that we focus on inquiry questions and create those learning opportunities which allow the learners to learn well. Formative assessment allow us to keep on testing the student if they have learned, and that informs our teaching, which lead up to the summative assessment, which gives us as teachers an idea of where the student stands with all the practice and skilling which has gone into the unit as they have gone learning about it. So how to create an inquiry-led curriculum is quite often something which has been my kind of dragon to deal with. And there are 4 things which stand out for me. Key and related concepts, which are broad concepts or broad ideas, big ideas which can be transferred. Global context, which provide us with the relevance, the sustainable development goals that we are talking about, and which makes the entire learning more realistic and relevant to the student. The statement of inquiry, which threads together the key related concepts and global context to actually form the backbone of the units. And of course, the content, which leads to a division of inquiry questions into factual, conceptual, and debatable. I've attached a MYP cheat sheet, which I quite often use because these key concepts and related concepts are all quite explained very well there. And if you ever need, you can even click on the link. This was created by a colleague of mine at the school. Any question? I'm sorry, I heard some voice, so. Yeah. So key related concepts. It's these provide us with lenses to explore big ideas that really matter in creating the units. There are links to it, which you can see and explore. In science, we basically look into 3 different major key concepts. They can be relationships, systems, and changes is quite often used as the key concept. And there's a whole bunch of related concepts which I can twist and turn to create my unit. Give me a minute, I'll show you how exactly it translates into. And statement of inquiry right there. You can look into the links when you're looking when you're creating them. So this is a unit that I have been creating, and I keep on changing. It's always a work in progress. This is about a unit which deals with stoichiometry. I was teaching chemistry there. So the unit explores the relationship between reacting quantities and the amount of substance. By being aware of the relationships in quantities in a balanced chemical equations, students can identify patterns in yield. So I've got my relationship right there plugged in. Relationship, balance, and patterns form the related concept. And the global context is scientific and technical innovation. So the ATL skill that I'm trying to embed into this particular unit is communication skill, because they were asked at the end of it to communicate certain information through an infographic, which is not showing in this currently in this patch that I have plugged into this slide. But you can see the inquiry questions which are leading me through these, which can be many more, of course, and they are in the current plan, is a factual, conceptual, which is the big idea that I've used in the unit, and debatable, as you can see. I also like to create a vocabulary list because I'm teaching in a school which is having, which has a lot of learners who are not who don't have English as their first language. So that's the reason it's a good idea to give them a vocabulary list right there. I've plugged in an ATL toolkit point from Lenny Dutton's website, who I really admire, and you can perhaps use that. So looking into the core pillars, core components of MYP, which is beyond the academics or the unit plan that I was talking about. And they are, number 1, they're tied up with the ability to be able to expand on the IB learner profile, not only through the unit planning or the concept-based learning, but also through the ATL skills, the approaches to learning that we are talking about. For us, it is approaches to teaching, which needs to be inquiry-based, collaborative, and well-differentiated, geared towards meeting the demands of the different students we have in our classroom. But approaches to learning is something which needs to be explicitly taught. The importance of this interdisciplinary learning and real world applications, MYP actually gives that in a beautiful way where we are not allowed, that's the wrong word to use, where we create in IDUs or interdisciplinary unit across at least one across each and every grade, which is a wonderful way of cross-connecting with other curriculums and seeing how conceptual patterns can be lifted to and applied to the other subjects as well. The personal project is an individual independent project taken by the student, which actually makes the bridge to the DB students when they go around writing their extended essays, and the community-led projects, which allows the student to collaborate and communicate with the immediate community and transfer the learning, are again two wonderful ways by which the students are able to have a 360-degree learning happening, which is beyond their classroom also, where they do a passion project, where they do something they want to learn about, and they lead with their own agency using all the IB learner profile traits to create a meaningful entity in which we see exponential growth as they go about with their inquiry-based approach towards completing their personal project. Besides it, that is also a key component known as services action, because all the learning does not necessarily happen in a classroom. It also happens beyond it. Service action projects, which can happen with as simple as tutoring kids, or looking into creating well-being space, or fundraising for a particular charitable event, give a more real-world expertise which are embedded into MYP curriculum, but which fructifies into CAS, which is the creativity, activity, and service core component in the DP. So coming back to the assessments now, when we have finished the unit planning, we have looked into the core concepts. What are we assessing and how are we assessing, and how does it prepare the students for DP? The assessment model is criterion-based assessment, and these are criterion A, B, C, D, and they're kind of different for all the different subjects. For science, for example, A caters to looking into knowledge and understanding, while B and C is more lab or experiment writing, inquiry and designing, and processing and evaluating the data that you gather. And D is reflecting the impacts of science. But this would be very different for English, math, INS, etc. This is all done by on an 8-point grading scale, which I'm going to show you in a bit. The formative assessments necessarily inform summative assessments with emphasis on providing feedback for growth. You can do it any which way. It can be self-assessed, it can be peer-assessed, as long as it is formative. The only area where more concrete feedback which needs to come from the teacher is the summative assessments right there. So I have an example right there from my science criterion
Anuja,
A.
Anuja, we'll have to wind up fast because we have Vishal and then you'll have to wind up quickly. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do that quickly. Okay, so these are grades for each criterion done out of 8 in MYP. Teachers must aim to grade each strand in each criterion at least twice per year. And when we come to our end of year grades, you choose a best fit, not an average. I've attached a number of documents, and this is a real from my unit plan right there. You can see I've assessed formative task on criterion A and B, C. I've created student document to assess that, and then gone on to create my summative task, which was pertaining to the unit plan, which I had shown you earlier. This is a grasp-based summative task, which was also created. You can see the statement of inquiry pretty much underlines this entire task right there. And I have ensured that all the clarity, the task-specific clarification are given in complete honesty so that the student is not under any illusion. So how does MYP support the DP program? Development of ATL skills, so crucial foundation in academic rigor and inquiry-based learning, which gives the student agency, and the fact that there's a direct connection between the personal project with the extended essay, which is gathered. So what support is available for new teachers? Resources from IB, role of collaboration with teaching teams, which is pretty much like us, as well as the interdisciplinary units when you collaborate with your subject-specific teachers in your class, in your school. And of course, mentorship opportunities, which we are doing right now. What next? I think it's a great idea to go back to subject-specific guides, which can be downloaded from IB. Look into planning units and integrating ATS skills into your units, and reflect. And that's what I keep doing, and changing my teaching pattern every year to which is correlated with what the students are learning and their scene, which is quite different from mine. So yeah, that's about it. So thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to write on emails. There's some important links I've put, and I'm okay with sharing this presentation. Thank you.
So, Anuja, we will be asking you specific MYP, regarding only assessments or planning, separate sessions, okay? So then at that time, we'll ask you to explain it in detail, because there are quite a few teachers who are new to the IB. They teach the CBSE curriculum or the South African curriculum, yeah? So we will be asking you to come in and pitch in.
I would love to.
Training.
It just allows me to see my own loopholes, so I really have no problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. We see you as a very passionate MYP educator.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now we have Mr. Vishal, who will take us through the DP program, and it will be a quick one, because my section will be very, very quick. I'll just tell you what it is, okay? How and why and all those things, we can do it later. Yeah, Vishal.
Absolutely. Very good evening, everybody from around the world. And wow, what a passionate journey all of you have presented. Ms. Archana, I'm a big fan of yours, presenting through PYP since 2020. And I follow you very closely through LinkedIn as well. And as well, Ms. Anuja, what a small world. Do say hi to my dearest colleague, PYP coordinator at your school, Jean Pelequin, who has worked together with me in Kazakhstan as well. We were both involved as an IB coordinator. So I will get in touch with her very soon. So yes, absolutely. What a passionate two champions, advocating strongly the belief, the core of, and the philosophy of IB, and where it starts from PYP, it absolutely ends in the DP. And that transformation begins from PYP, from the exhibition, continues to become more and more evolving in the MYP through, framework, the ATLs and approaches to learning, and as well as, making sure that at the end of grade 10, everybody understands what MYP is in a thrilling way, because guess what? They do have only 1.5 years to go and jet out through the IB Diploma Programme. So what is it all about? Very quickly, IB Diploma Programme aims to develop intellectually young individuals around the world throughout. And of course, it really prepares them to be absolutely rigorous through the college and get them going with their workforce for the future. Get them nervous, get them prepared, get them chaotic, get to manage. But at the end, I would agree what Ms. Archana was saying. It's all about how things develop within self, starting with the student agency and continues throughout the infamous, I would say, Ms. Anuja's cheat sheet through MYP, which is absolutely crossing through. So who am I? Before I move on, sorry, I think if I may request everyone to mute their mic, and so that I can jet out through this presentation very quickly. So I am Vishal. I'm currently based in Hyderabad. This is my 19th year in IB education and internationally as well. I traveled 42 countries, officially worked in 7 through my leadership positions, such as head of department, IB coordinator, vice principal, and now recently in July, last summer, I took off. I finished it as head of school. So now I'm looking for internationally again for August or January next year. So this, you can find my infamous profile picture on LinkedIn. So if you do find it, do say a hi. I'm happy to connect with you. So here it is. the famous hexagon, or I would say the roundabout or the round robin of IB program in the diploma section, where each student has to select 6 different subjects from each one, from all the groups. So one subject represents one group, but do understand that what is at the core, at the layer of that, I'm sorry, I'm just going to, please forgive me for this. At the second layer, as you can see, you have TOK, which is the philosophical aspect of the DP program. Then you have the extended essay, which is college university-based research program, which is quite intense in different ways because it's really nerve-wracking for them. For the first time, they are writing 4,000 words, deep research. But hey, there are no surprises. You know why? Because they have prepared in MYP personal project, the report writing process. So it's no surprise because they are writing around 3,500 words as a report, as a part of the reporting process for the MYP. However, in the exhibition, of course, there is a writing process which is wonderfully developed and crafted across the section. What really, quickly, I will just remove the third layer, which is the approaches to teaching. So when you teach the diploma program, you just not teach them the content, but you also teach them the way how you teach, but you also teach them the skills that is known as the approaches to learning. So, and of course, which is the third aspect of the whole thing is reaching out to the community. So do remember 6 subjects plus 3 core, which is the philosophy part of it, the research part of it, and of course the community part of it. That's what makes the IBDP so popular and demanding across the world, and including as a career as a teacher, you would be able to step up. So what are the 10 famous reasons? Again, I will share the slides with you. Do not get panicked. These are all available on the IB sites, so you can absolutely do research on it. For me, one of the top reasons to get graduated is absolutely stands out that number 3. It encourages every student to be confident and independent learner. This is what the PYP does famously, helps them to grow in the program. Then it's been taken away by the MYP, who actually transforms their passion and gets them through the storms, quote unquote, storms of learning, not approaches to learning, I would call it storms of learning, and then they come into DP. So these are the top selection process, and they are all interconnected. They are all interdisciplinary. That means if you teach one particular subject, you will automatically, unconsciously are teaching other parts of other subjects. It makes it even more intriguing, but yet so solid in experience and understanding. So those who are new to DP or those who aspire to teach DP, go for it, because you are the subject-specific person for the DP to teach with your specific master's degree on the subject that you teach, but also you gain the experience from people, not just from DP, but also from PYP and MYP as well. So just getting into the benefits, I just prepared, I'm just halfway through. As I told you, 3 major roles and benefits, which is university preparation, critical thinking process. It's absolutely critical. Help and encourage your students to think critically. Here is a case study in business management. This is what happened. What do you think? How would you like to do this? All right. If you were there, ask them to be critical. This is wonderfully crafted in the MYP and then downwards towards the PYP when they prepare for the exhibition. What do? When they prepare, as I told you, of course, sorry, my apologies for that. So what does the 3 core components looks at? Very simple. A course that encourages the critical thinking. So that's why when you teach a subject, do make sure that you ask important questions. So for example, music, the classical topic of Beethoven and the composition of piano, you would say, if you were Beethoven, what would you change going back to that century? What are the different things? So you get all these things very interestingly intrigued. Community service as well, where you connect with the community and not just going to a place and donating stuff, but also drive that from your heart, from within, that you are passionate about. And that's what leads you towards an understanding of research. When you become an independent researcher while reaching out to the community, realizing what you need to do, and then connecting your research. And that's why
extended essay plays a huge role when you actually encourage students to find their passion project, passionate topic that they want to research about. However, do be very aware of that just like any other program around the world, IBDP has got very specific structure, which is number one, of course, is to read your subject guide. And it has a grading 2 types of assessments. One is the internal assessment that is being driven by the teacher, driven by the requirements of the IBDP, but monitored by yourself as a subject teacher. Then you have the external exams, which are the regular paper-based exam, which is now going to be from 26 onwards, it's going to be, electronic assessments, which is fascinating because now we are approaching that era of digital assessment that's already happening in MYP. So they are picking up all the mistakes that happened, piloting through, and DP is heading towards e-assessment. On that note, I would just like to conclude very quickly on this part that it is a fabulous program. If you do have the intention to teach it for 3 different reasons. Number one, it has an unlimited potential of helping you find your own passion in your own subject. So that's not a doubt at all. Number 2, it has absolutely it will give you an overview of the growth of your students, because do remember the whole purpose of the IB is any IB program, right from PYP to CP. In a few minutes, Ms. Ashika is going to present that. You will see the learner is at the center of everything. What really matters, I'm wearing my principal's hat, is that what really matters are your students at the end of the day. So whether we are like, as we passionately say, across the board, across the world, we are their second parents, but at the same time, we have to be facilitating their passion, nurture them, correct them, and sort them out. So that's why global perspective is such an important part. For that, here's my 3 tips to develop global perspective from you is to be aware what's really happening in the world. Yes, do make sure that you select news channels where you actually get more productive to hearing them. Podcast, and Miss Ashika, you will see recently as well how she has developed a wonderful series of blog posts that I'm really passionate about, and I read it as like daily newspaper. Because why? Even though if I'm experienced into that gives me a go-to moment to that as well. So number 2, do travel. Whenever you have an opportunity, travel. Get to know people, get to know societies and functions and how it is. And of course, number 3, you as a DP teacher, you don't have too much time to cover syllabus. Do get back to the past papers, which is developed by IB, a huge important resource to your DP coordinator. And on the last bit, I would say, as an IB DP teacher, you will have a tremendous career growth to become a DP coordinator, an extended essay coordinator, TOK or CAS coordinator as well. Please do look out for that professional growth after you are confident in the program, after you feel that, yes, you are able to analyze data, because that's a skill that you need to develop as a teacher. You need to analyze data. So if you teach the MYP and you teach the DP, and in case if you start teaching the PYP as well, look at PYP as well, so wonderfully guarded, nestled around the passion that where do they need to learn? Who is the world? What is the surrounding central thing? So I'm going to end this by saying, do keep up your passion, travel, get to know people, but also do remember the future is in your hand and it all depends on you. Do not forget to communicate that to your management, to constant talk with your DP coordinator, be it classroom observation, or let's say develop other skills such as data analysis. So on that note, that's all from me. I would just wrap this up and thank you so much for listening so patiently. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Ashika. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishal. So I have a very short and sweet presentation on what is IBCP. I will just do the basics of it. Okay. So this is the pathway to success. IBCP is also a program of the IB, a sister program of IBDP, which is run for students aged between 16 to 19 years old. And the main reasons why you need to study or you could study the IBCP is for getting academic skills, okay, imparting academic skills in your students, to get them ready for job So there are job-related competencies that the students will learn during the course of study. It also helps them in their further education, in preparing themselves for further education. And a cherry on the top is that it prepares you for employment. So IBCP is unique in the sense that the students will have chance to do internship, which gives them that job related preparation. Okay. Now, this is the main framework of the IBCP. Now, why should you study the IBCP program? Because it has an education pathway. It will help the students to follow a particular career. So when the students are very clear that, okay, this is the career that I want to follow, then they study the IBCP. In the IBCP, there is a focus on skill development. Of course, all the IB programs also develop the skills, but over here, professional and personal skills are developed. Skills related to the particular career that you are going to take is developed, okay, during the course of study. The IBCP encourages the learners to have a positive impact on the community. So they also have service learning as a requirement of the program. So by this, they engage with their community. Now, when you study the IBCP, it also promotes the understanding of the global perspectives. International mindedness is the main philosophy of an IB education. So here too, in the IBCP, it promotes global awareness as well as international mindedness. And the other main point of why to do IB program is that it emphasizes the real world application. Whether it is the PYP, MYP, DP, or the CP, when you study, the curriculum has relevant matter where you can relate what you're studying to real world situations. So these are the reasons why a student should study the IBCP program. Now, what is in the IBCP program? So if you look at the framework, what will you study in the IBCP? So IBCP has these three main elements, the one in green, the one in purple, and one in blue. Now, an IBCP student will study a minimum of 2 DP courses. So maybe if I'm doing business management as a career-related program, then I may study economics or mathematics, or economics or business management in the IBDP. Okay, so you choose minimum of 2 DP courses, and they will give the DP exams of that particular course that they are studying, and they will have relevant to career-related studies. So these 2 DP courses are there compulsory, but in addition to that, if you want to do 3, so if you are looking at business management and you feel that, okay, business, economics, and mathematics are the things that I need to study, then you can do that too. Okay. In career-related studies, whatever career you are going to follow, so based on that, there will be certain part that is studied in this particular section. And here in the IBCP, there are certain organizations that are recognized by the IB to offer these career-related studies. Okay, so we have something like SUMAS, we have the BTech of Pearson. So these all provide the career-related studies component of the IBCP. And the last but not the least are the CP core components. Like how we have the core components of the IBDP, you have CAS, you have TOK, and extended essay. These are the 3 core components of IBDP. Similarly, IBCP has 4 core components. The first one is personal and professional skills course. The second is service learning. Third is language development. Now, this particular language development is the language that you are going to use in the profession that you are going to choose. Okay, so it could be Spanish, French, Hindi, if you're going to study. But over here, what you are going to study in this particular course is related to the career that you are going to take. Okay, and then you have the reflective project. The reflective project is similar to the extended essay. Okay, so these are the main components of the IBCP. So when a student takes IBCP, they will study all these things together. Now, if we compare the IBCP to the IBDP. People feel that IBCP is much easier than IBDP. It is not. Both are as rigorous and both have their place in the IB programs. So if you look at the core components of IBDP, you have CAS, TOK, and extended essay. And like I just said in my previous slide, the core components of IBCP are personal and professional skills, service learning, language development, and reflective projects. So these four are the core components. So this is the difference. Service learning is same, okay, identical over here. But over here, you have creativity and activity too. This is totally service. In the IBCP, it focuses on career-related learning and practical skills. So whatever professional and personal skills are there, those skills are related to the career that you are going to study. Whereas in the IBDP, the skills are mainly concentrated on the academic excellence. So you will study skills that will help you in your academics. And if you look at the curriculum, in the IBDP curriculum, it has traditional academic subjects, and these are not with career focus. Okay, you study 6 groups: language and literature, language acquisition, individuals and societies, sciences, mathematics, and arts. So these are distinct, curriculum courses that you study, academic subjects that you study. Whereas in the IBCP, you study minimum of 2 DP subjects, but in addition to that, you will also study career-related studies. Okay, so this is the main difference between the IBCP and the IBDP program. So now, just like how PYP, MYP, DP has a program model, this is the program model for IBCP, where you have the student in the center. Okay, so in the IB PYP, the student is an inquirer. In the MYP, the student is a learner. And in the DP and the CP, the student is a knower. So these are knowers. They have some knowledge. Okay, and you can see that the teachers will use the approaches to teaching to teach their units, and the students will learn to develop the approaches to learning skills. And this is then surrounded by the 4 core components of the IBCP, which are language development, personal and professional skills, service learning, and reflective project. And then you have the knowledge part of it. You have the career-related studies component, what you're going to study, and you have the minimum 2 diploma program subjects that you're going to study. And this overall thing, you have the overall part of philosophy and pedagogy of international mindedness. So this is what the framework of IBCP looks like. Now, just like how Miss Anuja showed a video on the IBDP. Similarly, I would want to end my presentation with a video on IBCP. Let me first share the sound. Okay. Let me know if you can hear it.
These kids have skills, these kids have drive, and they've got ideas, and the CP really gives them the opportunity to exploit and get that out there.
I want to be able to run my own business, so I saw CP being able to accommodate for that. Since it was more practical based, I was able to see how it's done, and when I start my own, I'm able to make improvements and maybe even do it better.
It's really hands-on. They take a photography class and it's not a theory. They learn some theory and then they go out and they take photographs.
This framework gives us the time and opportunity to teach students soft skills, hard skills, skills that do matter.
When I stepped into the IBCP, I was able to just step back and look at everything from a much broader perspective.
I think first of all, they introduce you to the real world. You have to learn a lot of other things like scholarship talks or getting jobs, creating your LinkedIn. How do you market yourself? How do you deal with when people disagree in a way that is productive and doesn't get in the way of your creative process.
I get to learn how to deal with different people and how to communicate with them, how to cooperate in the same project.
El programa POP te da ventajas muy buenas, puesto que tú llegas sabiendo a la universidad cosas que otros no saben. La ventaja del programa es que nos permite realizarnos académicamente, tanto profesionalmente, puesto que ya vamos enfocados con una carrera que queremos realizar.
With the personal professional skills, it really gives them the opportunity to delve into subjects they would never learn elsewhere.
And because of service learning, I've also learned and done so many new things which I haven't experienced before.
In the context of today's world, having additional languages is a necessity. So that element being built into the course is another positive for us.
Self-awareness, an appreciation of their own strengths, a sense of self-confidence, a growth in communication skills. Those are all things which I have observed students developing.
And that's the sort of thing that I think builds our students into members of a community and members of a society, which is what we're all about, really.
Yeah, so these are the online resources that are available to know more about the IBCP. I will be sharing this presentation, then you can have a look at these resources too. Thank you. So I'll stop the recording.